All right, folks, I'm ready. And I will say, okay, listen, I haven't watched the video or anything, but
Convicted.
I do. I fucking hate Blaire White. I haven't watched the video or anything. However, I do know the article that this court case refers to, and I am very interested to see. There is a slim chance I am going to end up agreeing with Blaire White. But that really depends on Blaire White, not on me, okay? I'm always ready for the comeback kid. What's up, Blaire? How you doing? You've got a gecko in your face, Blaire.
Pedo to be released from jail after becoming a woman, no longer deemed a threat.
Oh, that was a good fast intro. Let's get that again.
Convicted pedo to be released from jail after becoming a woman, no longer deemed a threat.
I like that effect with the camera shake. Also, honey, it's usually a good idea to have a few, like maybe a half second of silence, you know, so we don't miss whatever's said at the beginning. All right, yeah, let's. I'm ready. Blaire.
I'm just like the absolute state of transgenderism in 2020. Like I'm ready for a positive story again. Are there any more Nikki tutorials, positive stories coming out soon? Because
All right, we're ready for the absolute state of transgenderism in 2020. It is actually astonishing how much Blaire White hates transgender people. I guarantee you, like, if Blaire White ever went to like a pride parade or something, she would surround herself with like 14 bitchy friends who are all alt-right adjacent, and she would like try to call out and like out like trans people. Like, oh yeah, that one? She was born a man. I guarantee you, this is in fact, Blaire White is doing this right now as I record this and as you view it in the future on YouTube.
I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I come to you today tired of doing these kinds of videos. If any trans YouTubers out there want to take over for me and do this, I would
30
love
seconds
to take
in,
my
Blaire.
lunch at this particular point in time, because this video in particular, this story is just.
If you want to stop, if you want to call it quit, I am chat. Can we all hypers? Can we show Blaire White support? A tide of support for Blaire White just not doing this anymore. Look, Blaire, check it. There's so many little frogs over there. Blaire, we all want you to shut up. It's okay. Take the vacation. Do it. Oh.
Messed up in a lot of different ways. Okay, so yesterday I was on Instagram scrolling, enjoying my life, and all of a sudden I got this influx of comments and messages from you guys saying to check out this particular story. And at first I was like, this can't be real. I mean, this has to be some sort of,
Wait, why did they censor this? Convicted pedo to be released from jail after becoming a woman, no longer deemed a threat. But the full article title is just pedophile. Wait, what's the point? Why get rid of the file? Do you guys see that behind the chat and the vote screen that just erupted in front of me? Look, why censor the file? I don't know.
Headlines these days, whatever.
Monetization? Why would you demonetize pedophile but not demonetize pedo? Okay, sure, whatever.
And then I saw that Ready to Glare made a video about it, and I love her channel.
Considering this title, I think we need some holy water. Someone gifted me this spray.
Who the fuck is this?
And one of the top
I don't think that was holy water. Who is that YouTuber? I have never seen that person before.
Comments was, Blaire's gonna be pissed about this. Blaire is pissed about this.
Wait, that's actually really interesting to me. This is like 708 YouTube comments. So are we just agreeing then that Blaire is like the person you send after trans people? Like anytime a trans person does anything objectionable, Blaire White is like the attack dog you send against them? Because Blaire White's content is dedicated entirely to anti-trans propaganda? Are we just acknowledging that? You know what I mean? Like that's her job?
Blaire is. I'm going to read this headline to you. Convicted pedo to be released from jail after becoming a woman. No longer deemed a threat. We need to dissect this.
Yeah,
so this individual named Joseph Matthew Smith, now goes by Josie Smith, has molested and victimized up to 15 children ages 1 to 15.
Damn, did they do that sequentially? Like they raped a 1-year-old and then a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old? Yeah, did they get everything? Is this an even distribution? Because if that's the case, that's pretty extraordinary. I'm not saying it's good. It's obviously horrible, but I'm just saying, like...
Now, I don't even think we can wrap our head around that. I feel like this person's existence, like, has just left behind a trail of damage so large that it's almost...
Yes.
Immeasurable.
Yes.
So Josie was sent to prison in 2014 and then by 2017 began identifying as a woman and began hormone treatments. So that person was sent to prison and is now being released, get this, because they are identifying and transitioning into a woman.
Interesting. What does this say about our society, Blaire? I want to hear. What is the synthesis? So we have the information, okay? But what is your analysis?
Literally because, and I thought that can't be the reason. There has to be maybe like, I don't know, good behavior or an exoneration. No, this person still did what they did, but is getting released because they're on hormones and, according to the judge, no longer deemed a threat. So apparently the recommendation for Josie to be released was based on the fact that Josie is on hormones, estrogen, and apparently now doesn't have a high sex drive, and so they think it's a low risk.
So we can actually double check this really quickly. Trans pedophile released woman. Here, that should bring up the article. This is from the the thing that I like most about like double checking these articles is that the thing that the right-leaning YouTubers, the conservative demagogues get like up in arms about, the only people that cover this are the right-leaning websites. Post Millennial, The Pluralist, The Daily Wire. Here's Women Are Human. Turf site? Women Are Human, independent source for the top stories in worldwide gender identity news. Male, violent child rapist. Yeah, turf site. Yeah, it's pretty easy one right there. What's a good site? Breitbart, maybe? That's a good one. We can take a look at. The Pluralist, perhaps? Maybe we can go over the Pluralist. I don't know. You know, we're really picking from a shit pile here. But let's take a look at the information here. Matthew Smith, according to now identifies as Josie, convicted molesting a fellow student at a residential treatment program. As many as 15 victims ranging in ages 1 to 15 prior to being sentenced. Right. We have all that information. The report issued before Smith underwent her gender transition confirmed she be confined at... Oh, nice typo. Oh, no, not a typo. I misread. Recommended she be confined to the Cherokee Civil Commitment Unit for sex offenders. However, the recommendation was based on her male sex drive. According to the former director of the Cherokee Civil Commitment Unit for sex offenders, it is much harder for the state to prove someone is at risk to reoffend once the individual significantly lowers their testosterone levels. Interesting. So I'm just gonna throw my... Does anyone have like a Yahoo article on this subject so that I can take a look at this, maybe absent the crazy fucking right-leaning bias? Oh, here's one from Metro. Okay, Metro's a lot better than... Metro's quite a bit better than the fucking Pluralist. Here we go. Full name, abused up to 15 youngsters. Whoa! We're getting conflicting info. 15 youngsters aged between 1 and 13. Not 1 and 15. Where is this information coming from? Also, just to be perfectly honest, I feel like saying youngsters is maybe a little bit sort of irreverent when we're talking about children who have been raped by an adult. Youngsters? I don't know about that one, personally. We don't believe we have evidence sufficient to prove Josie Smith has a significant chance of reoffending. Nice. She will be subject to supervision for the rest of her life. Okay, cool. A pre-sentence report prepared in 2015 found the likelihood of Smith offending pre-transition exceeded 20%. This is based on the fact that her victims were both male and female, her being under 25 years old, and never having had a long-term relationship. What kind of math do criminal science people do on the likelihood of you reoffending? If you've raped like 15 children, I feel like the odds are pretty fucking good of you reoffending. I would consider that. Listen, I'm not criminal science deuterino myself. I feel like if you've raped 15 children, you're probably the type of person who's going to keep raping children. Molested, not raped, or am I wrong? I don't know meaningfully if there's much of a difference here, but if we want to go with molested, sure, that's also, I still wouldn't trust this person. I think this is a justification for a good, long jail sentence. But we're not getting that jail sentence. So what the fuck is going on? Blaire, analysis, Kowalski.
Future offender, and that they're confident Josie's not going to offend in the future. And I'm just thinking, okay, but you don't release people based on their likelihood that they won't do harm in the future.
Wait, Blaire? That is literally one of the most important factors when it comes to determining whether or not you release someone. Blaire? Why do you think people are in prison?
They still have to pay the consequences for what they did in the past. So I don't know what this judge is smoking and or snorting, but this is disgusting. Okay. When asked...
I disagree, by the way, with the article. I'm really waiting. I like the punitive justice stuff, too. Like, the reason you're in prison isn't so you're prevented from harming society. The reason you're in prison is because you're being punished for the things you did. It's like a childlike mentality. Conservatives are children emotionally, Oh, he's getting out after only 10 years, but I wanted 20. He's supposed to be 20 years in prison, not 10. They like the you sit in the corner timeout. They like the dunce cap thing,
Attorney General spokesperson Lynn Hicks told the Storm Lake Times that an offender's hormone levels are an important part of substantiating an offender's likelihood of recidivism.
Okay. Again, I'm not an expert. I have no idea how much hormone levels influence the likelihood of future sexual offenses. I do know, however, this may become a surprise to some people, just a little. This is, from me to you, top secret. Women rape too. Just a little, throwing that one out there, a little tidbit of information. I know not everyone's heard it before. Women actually, I know, it's crazy. Women rape people too. All women, in fact. Women are horrible. All women rape. That's not true, no. Women are less than 5% of rapists. Nugavus won! Congratulations! You've been selected for this week's polling of The Retard Chatter. My friend, when you invalidate the possibility of women engaging in rape because of your hashtag, men do it more shit, you are actively enabling and perpetuating systems of abuse and social stigmatization that enable not only the ability for women to get away with sexual assault, but also for men to be abused by sexual assaulters or rapists and not report that information. It's a disgusting mentality in my mind. Women are less than 5% of rapers. Yes, we're aware of the fact that generally speaking, rape is something that men do to women or men do to other men in the absence of women. But the idea that you would, when you see like an article and I'm like, hey, women can rape too, and you're like, well, women don't rape much. The implication you're making is that women shouldn't be subjected to any scrutiny when it comes to the potential for them engaging in sexual offenses, which is incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. So there we go. No bans today. I love you, comrade. There you go. Just me to you. Also, women may commit a vastly disproportionate number of rapes, but that's reported rapes. Men are probably far less likely to report sexual assaults they experience than women. Also, we're talking about molestation, not just rape. There are plenty of women who are in positions of authority over young people, like children. And those numbers wouldn't be counted in anything involving like rape. The incident we're talking about in this video was 15 children. How would you like it if I was doing a video on one of those incidences where like a middle school teacher fucks some of her male students, and all the YouTube comments are like, nice, bro, getting that MILF pussy when you're only 12. Nah, I wish I was getting that. And then I have to be here and be like, well, guys, actually, you know, rape and sexual assault can happen to children from women too. And you're like, well, you know, technically men rape more than women. Maybe the little boy raped the older woman. You have no idea. I know you wouldn't say that, of course. Just the mentalities here, I think, are very, very bjorked. Women can rape too, okay? So the idea to me that the court would find that hormone levels dropping significantly decreases the likelihood of recidivism is... No, this is so fucked up! This is such a bad fucking court system, dude! Because we know for a fact that when adults sexually abuse children or rape other people, it's not usually because they're horny. It's because they want to experience power. It's a power thing. It's a power differential thing. It's about exploiting other people. It's not because you have a fucking erection. And even if it was, fucking trans girls in HRT are horny as fuck. Have you ever fucked a trans girl? They are insatiable. Most of them, not all of them. I'm speaking with a broad brush here. This is a completely inapplicable standard.
So this doesn't make sense to me because you don't release people from prison who have done such egregious acts based on their likelihood of committing those acts again in the future to someone.
Yes, you do! That's the point of rehabilitation! Okay, sorry, I'm fighting a two-front war here. I'm fighting Blaire over here, and I'm fighting the fucking courts too, okay? We haven't even gotten to the explanation. Does Blaire think there's like a pro-trans conspiracy in the prison system?
Someone else. They still have to pay the consequences and pay the time for what they did to the victims in the past. So I'm thinking, how does that make any sense? I'm like, am I getting this wrong? Am I interpreting this the wrong way?
Yes.
No, this is literally clear as day. He's getting released because his hormone levels are low.
Whoa, him? This prisoner has been diagnosed with gender dysphoria and has been seeking medical treatment. Should I him Blaire? The prisoner is literally the same level of trans girl as Blaire over here, unless you think physical attractiveness is the determining factor for whether or not you're a trans girl. Literally, the prisoner has been diagnosed, even from a trans medicalist perspective. She's on hormone therapy. Blaire White has a penis. Blaire White has a dick. She is every bit as much of a woman as that prisoner is. But again, because Blaire White is the biggest transphobe on YouTube, the only trans person Blaire White ever gave a shit about was herself.
Now let me tell you something about hormone levels.
Where does it say the prisoner was diagnosed with gender dysphoria? You can't get hormone replacement therapy in prison unless you've been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. I don't know if you've ever been in an American prison or read anything about the medical system in the American prison system, but let me tell you, you cannot just go up to the commissary and ask for some fucking titty skittles. You're British? Okay, well, there you go. No, if you're getting HRT in a prison, you need to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Blaire refuses to call anyone by their chosen pronouns if she thinks they haven't earned it. It's fucked up. Hey, chat! Hypers, if you call Blaire White she, her, but frankly don't think she deserves it, by her standard. I think honestly, Blaire, you're just a bad trans. Biggest combo in chat history, 64. I just think Blaire White, kind of a bad trans, honestly. Just kind of a shitty trans lady. I don't know. Blaire, I'll call you she, her. I'm very civil. But your standards, though, if I subscribe to your standards, trust me, you'd be getting the he, him treatment. I don't know why you keep misgendering other trans women when they're every bit as much a woman as you are by your standards.
Because apparently this decision was made by a bunch of non-trans people who think that when you transition, you're suddenly a different person and then not responsible for the previous crimes that they've done. And apparently that being on estrogen means that you have no sex drive. Let me tell you something.
Okay, well, I mean, again, I disagree with the court's decision here for reasons that I haven't even gotten into. We're not even halfway through this video. I need some analysis. Blaire, why did this happen?
I have been on estrogen longer than this Josie individual. I hate that there's even a comparison being made. Whatever.
As a beautiful and wealthy trans woman who's been able to afford all the facial reconstruction and surgery necessary to alleviate my crippling dysphoria, I hate even being compared to other trans women. Honestly, trans women are fucking disgusting, and I hate to share a social category with them.
I've been on hormones longer, about 6 years, so about 3 years longer. And I will tell you, being on estrogen does not completely ruin your sex drive. Does it lower it? Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I definitely...
Well, it really depends on what you're taking. It really depends on what specifically you're taking.
Don't want it as much as I used to when I had, like, male hormones running through my body. However, but it does not completely diminish it. And one thing that I think people should probably be educated upon, especially people making decisions like releasing convicts into the general public, probably should know that rape, sexual assault, molestation has almost as much to do with power.
Whoa! Blaire, hold up! We're running a hate train on you. You can't make correct points. Hold up, Blaire. Hold up there. This video is for the purpose of hating you. Don't mess with the vibes, okay?
Being a sadistic individual that wants to hurt someone for their own gratification than it does like sexual gratification. Like, for a lot of them who do this to people, it's not even really about that. 15 kids. 15 kids' lives were forever changed and possibly ruined by this individual. And because they're suddenly identifying as a woman and taking estrogen, like, that means they're free to go. I can't imagine being...
Wait, is this whole video literally just her complaining? She doesn't even, like, give any analysis or comment on it. She just says this is wrong and then spends like 8 minutes saying this is wrong. You know, an intelligent person would be able to interpret this as what it is. This is patriarchy. It's the idea that women are biologically predisposed to being harmless and weak, and therefore, if a person becomes a woman, they pose no threat to society. And it is in fact the male hormones, it is the biology of those who are assigned male at birth, which predisposes them towards susceptibility to stuff like raping children. And if one is made a woman, well, they're harmless now. It is benevolent sexism in the extreme. It's the assertion that women, you know, weak, dainty little women could never... This is the exact same reason men get disprivileged sometimes at family courts. It's the same reason why when there's domestic abuse, like a call is made, the police show up and usually take away the guy, even if the guy is the one battered and the woman looks unharmed. There's a reason for that.
The family of these kids knowing that this person just gets to get off.
We know. Moral outrage, we know.
Registry and constant supervision, apparently, whatever that means. But imagine being a victim of this person and knowing that because they're popping some estrogen pills, they're allowed to roam free. This person will probably offend again. I feel like if you were racking up that many victims, 15 victims, and he's not going to reoffend because there's estrogen in his body, like,
doing the he/him again. Really weird, Blaire White. I don't know about that one. You should be a little more careful, you know. What Blaire White doesn't realize is that her recognition of femininity hangs by a fucking thread. I said this before with the Hunter Avalon talk, but like Blaire White obviously has absolutely no self-esteem. Like, this is very clear to me. Blaire White seems to me like the sort of person who would go out to bars and flirt with like transphobic straight guys to try and get them to fuck her, because even if they call her like he, him, and refer to her as a dude, the validation of being fucked by a guy who identifies as straight is like what gives her kicks. I know there are trans girls who do this. Please don't do this, trans girls, okay? This is not a great long-term strategy in terms of feeling great about yourself. But I don't think that people like Blaire White realize how fragile her identity is in the face of the movement she's a part of, you know? I would say the same thing to like a gay fascist or like a black and Blaire White, I think, is absolutely a fascist. But in this case, she mostly is just a transphobe. But if you're black, you know, they can't take you being black away from you. They can't take you being gay away from you. But when you're Blaire White and your belief in the legitimacy of your gender identity is hanging by a thread, you know, like, I have to be at least this pretty, and God, my little penis is so gross. I hope no one looks at it. And I can only be a woman as long as I carry myself like this. If it's that, like, hanging by that thin of a thread, like, all it would take is a slight paradigm shift in the conservative movement of this country, and Blaire White would be absolutely trashed. Like, it does not take much to invalidate her womanhood, especially from the political position that she finds herself in. But she is so willing to do it to others, you know? It's like she's on a little lifeboat in a tumultuous ocean, and to spite the other people in the boat, she's swinging an axe down at the wooden planks in the floor of the boat, you know? And water's starting to fill in. And the way the boat is sinking, she's like kind of on the dry end. Like, she's like tiptoeing around on the edge that isn't sinking, the one that's capsizing up. But I mean, she's on the same fucking boat, you know. Blaire, like, seriously, the person you're talking about is a trans woman and is medically the same as you. In, like, period. That's it. The picture that you used at the beginning of this video, if I understand correctly, is the picture that was taken of them when they entered prison. It's been years since then. They probably don't have facial hair anymore. They probably look a lot more feminine. Not that that matters. Medically, they're the same as you. You're a trans medicalist. They're a woman too. If you deny their womanhood, you deny yours. Just because you're a little shinier does not mean that you are any more of a woman. Who cares? It's a child molester? No. Whether or not you're a child molester, and I agree, being a child molester is a highly suboptimal sort of life decision, you know, probably not the best one. Whether or not you're a child molester, you should not have your gender identity impugned. Just impugn them for being a fucking child molester. Like, just, if a person's a rapist, just say they're bad because they're a rapist. If there was a black dude who, like, raped someone, you can't call them the N-word. You're like, oh, well, who cares? It's a rapist. Like, no! Wait, if they're a rapist, why are you shit-talking them for being black? Like, I don't know.
Disgusting. Hicks says, we don't believe we have evidence sufficient to prove Josie Smith has a significant chance of reoffending. Are the 15 prior victims not sufficient evidence?
Blaire, you're so stupid, Blaire. Blaire, you can't even provide decent analysis on the points you're correct on. You care more about punitive justice than you do about actually engaging with the information you're being provided, dude. Of course we don't have sufficient evidence. They did a crime. Jesus Christ.
Like, what is going on? So now there's a conversation to be had, obviously, about the precedent this sets, right? Like, if one person, this Josie Smith individual, can all of a sudden say, actually identify as a woman, and actually I'm taking estrogen now, and then get off the hook for the horrific crimes they committed, that sets a precedent for the future. Is that something that's probably going to start happening all of the time? No. But now that the groundwork is laid and the law has said this is something that can happen, there's going to be more.
I like the implications here. The groundwork has been laid and the law can say that can happen. As though a judge's analysis of the likelihood of reoffending for one prisoner is some kind of jurisprudence that like other courts can take from. Like that's not how our legal system works. That's one. And for two, I like the subtle implication that like prisoners will start transitioning into women. So 3 years after they transition, because this prisoner started in 2017, that they can then get off for their sex crimes or something. This is a non-transferable incident.
And that's awful. I also wonder if this has something to do with it. Like, does the court system in Iowa think that women, like, can't be sex offenders or, like, can't victimize children in that way? Because there is this really messed up mindset that, like, women cannot be in that role. Yeah. And they can. So even, like, if you believe that Josie Smith now is suddenly, like, a woman because...
Well, again, she is. Same as you, buddy. You were making videos 3 years ago, at which point you would have been on HRT for 3 years. Same as Josie.
Josie's on estrogen, which is a very low bar of entry to be.
That's a low... I've said it before, folks. For Blaire White isn't just a trans medicalist. Blaire White's gate is always one step below her. Blaire, you've just done hormones. You have a cock. Blaire, you've done a video on how you're not having your bottom surgery. You have a penis. I guarantee you if Blaire White got a vagina, her next video would be on some trans woman who hasn't had bottom surgery and saying, well, you know, I mean, he says he's a woman, but he still has a penis, which is a male sexual organ. I guarantee you, 100%, Blaire White's standard for who is a legitimate trans woman is always just a neck below where she is, which I guess in this case is hormone therapy and also having enough money for facial feminization surgery.
Be honest. That doesn't make Josie more innocent of a person. That doesn't make Josie less threatening of a person. That doesn't make Josie any less than a predator. Period. I also want to address something I've gotten asked many times over the years, and I've never made a video about it because I just felt like, you know, it's kind of a topic that would probably just fit into another video. So this one. The topic of should trans women be placed in men or women's prison? So here's my opinion.
I super don't care. Should I... We did the subject. Do I have to? Do I have to? I don't have to, do I? I didn't sign for this. Here, okay.
I feel that if a trans woman has had gender reassignment surgery, as in now has the genitals they identify with and has what has now been given by a surgeon, a vagina.
What? Blaire, you have a penis. You would go to a male prison. Okay. All right, cool. Also, by the way, I like how Blaire White just did a spiel on how women can rape too, and it's not hormones or biology that makes you like a sexual predator, but then the moment it comes time to abandon that point and adopt the next one, which is that trans women should go to male prisons, she completely swaps around on it and says, oh, well, actually, your sexual organs do determine whether or not you're a threat for sexually assaulting others. All right, I get the gist. I get the gist, I think. I don't know how much civic policy we should be taking from Blaire White.